Right, video 8, part 2, King's Prerogative. I just went and viewed video 7, and it's kind of fast. So, nowadays, in order to get through videos, I usually put it like 1.25, 1.5, to get through most of the stuff. And in that video, I don't think you need to do that. Yeah, just slow it down a bit. There's a lot of nuggets in there as well. Okay, first of all, housekeeping. In video 6, I misspoke and inadvertently claimed that Edward I was also called Edward the Confessor. These are two different kings, most assuredly by the fact that King Edward I's reign was in the late 13th century, whereas Edward the Confessor's reign was pre-AD 1066. And thank you for the comment, by the way, and I implore others to do the same. If I make any mistakes, by all means, drop a comment in, because we're all about moving towards correcting our status, and therefore, no details should not be scrutinized. We should all look into everything and speak about those things. Additionally, in relation to video 7, thanks go to another commenter who identified that the colonists could have not brought over with them Blackstone's commentaries, since Book 1 was not completed until 1765. Now, this is true, as the colonies under Britain ceased after 1776 in the good old USA. Now, I use that description in general terms, since many other countries, aka proprietorships, maintained their status of a British colony well into the 19th century. For example, Canada didn't change from colony status into a dominion until 1867. Okay, here we go. Part 2, King's Prerogative. The duties and power of the king type of sovereignty is subject to his ensigns, rights, and prerogative, which is under the scrutiny of the customary laws pre-AD 1066 and those brought upon the land of Britain through the Norman conquest. Now, I had read somewhere, this is of a memory past, that what William did differently from his Norman ancestry as it pertained to relationships with his barons and lords is he extended a direct relationship to the mean lords as opposed to just the barons. His reasoning was obtained through observation of how the French king only gave ear to what we identify in the English law system as barons, aka the tenants-in-chief, under William, to which the lords would then bond to their immediate barons, and this not to the king. Therefore, if the barons wanted to take down the king, then the lords would follow their immediate allegiance to the baron as opposed to the king. So by lending ear to both baron and lord alike, the king was assured of allegiance of both statuses. So as we venture into William Blackstone's of Kings, William Blackstone divides this type of sovereignty into 6 subcategories, essentially, and those being 1, with regard to his title, 2, his royal family, 3, his councils, 4, his duties, 5, his prerogative, and 6, finally, his revenue. So let's start off with first, but before we begin with 1, running through 6, I use AI to help summarize and generally create a summary of this chapter of William the Blackstone. Not William the Blackstone, but just William Blackstone. And so I had to later on, which now is going to turn into obviously part 3 of this series, whereby I've actually divided pre-1688, so the despotic monarchy, versus post-1688 and the constitutional monarchy. So I have to go into part 3 didn't know until I actually did a summary and realized it was a melding of the two. Let's go into it. And the reason why, again, that I do that, because we want to follow the timeline that we're in right now. We don't want to jump all over the place, or try not to. I'm not going to say it's always going to happen, but this way, the whole idea is it's imperative that we understand the evolution of our rights, which are attached to an obligation to land. So by understanding how it all evolved and a better understanding of its history, then we can then see how we are interlocked with that same system through property rights under constitutions and as such. Okay, so number one, with regard to his title, AI does a summary. Again, this is AI using a summary. Thank God for them. Helps a lot with going through content. It states, Blackstone explains the basis of the monarch's title, which rests upon the laws of succession. This involves hereditary right, established by common law and statute. As the default means of determining the rightful heir to the throne, the title emphasized legitimacy and continuity of the crown, ensuring stability in governance. Number two, his royal family. What does that look like? The royal family holds a privileged and dignified position, supporting the monarch's role in governance and state affairs. Blackstone outlines the importance of the royal family in providing heirs and maintaining the line of succession, as well as fulfilling ceremonial and symbolic roles. Number three, relating to his councils. The king's councils are the advisory bodies that assist the sovereign in decision-making. Blackstone identifies key councils, including the Privy Council and Cabinet Council, as instrumental in governance. These bodies ensure the king is informed and supported in executing his constitutional and administrative duties. You can see right there why we have to divide the two. Now we're talking constitutional there, and we want to return to despotic rule. Number four, his duties. The sovereign's duties are described as being in service to the welfare of the state. Blackstone underscores the king's role as a constitutional monarch, obligated to uphold the laws, administer justice, and ensure the security and prosperity of his subjects. Number five, his prerogative. Royal prerogative refers to discretionary powers vested in the crown. Blackstone classifies these prerogatives into two types. One, direct powers, such as the right to declare war or dissolve parliament. And two, incidental prerogatives, which enable the execution of the king's duties. These powers are balanced by legal and constitutional framework to prevent misuse. And finally, number six, his revenue. The king's revenue comprises funds necessary to maintain the dignity of the monarchy and to govern effectively. Blackstone divides royal revenue into two categories: ordinary revenue, derived from the crown's hereditary lands and other sources, and extraordinary revenue obtained through taxes granted by Parliament. This system ensures financial accountability within the constitutional monarchy. So what I'm going to do is now do part three of this, and what I'm going to do is going to use those same categories, but I'm going to divide them pre and post 1688. So instead of now trying to read all the way through that, it's best that I go into another video so we don't overly extend the timeline of 10 minutes. Thank you. Thanks for joining. And by all, hey, if you learned anything and want this information to be shared so that we all, because everyone's always talking about how do we get everybody all together. And I've heard a coinage of someone saying, trying to get everybody together is like herding cats. And we know how difficult that is. But what is true and what is foundationally true is the law. If everyone just starts understanding the law, then we all are coming together through osmosis. We all are under the same type of system that we can then look to find out where our rights begin, and those rights belong to titles and corporations and stuff like that. So again, with that, and if you haven't subscribed, by all means do so. Thanks for joining me.